And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Have a cough drop in my mouth, so pardon me. Glad to have you here tonight. Hope you are doing well. Hope we're gathering tonight from what was a very productive day. Glad to have you here. So listen, we've got lots to talk about, and we're going to have a conversation about the November 5th election. I'll tell you this: our goal is to have Justice Jim Kitchens on with us for this coming Thursday. So for the Thursday show, that's our goal, is to have Justice Jim Kitchens with us. But tonight, I want to spend a little time talking about this presidential race. All right, I want to spend some time because I think it's important that we dispel these misnomers. And I think that there's a show on BET tonight with a panel of Black men also attempting to dispel untruths about Kamala Harris. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I think that we are better than what we're doing. I think we're better than the ignorance that we're sharing. I think that we are better than the double standards that we attempt to hold Kamala Harris to. I just think that we're better than this, and we are a week away from the elections. A week away, 1 week left. And there are those of you that are still saying you don't know who she is. There are those of you that are still saying she's misrepresenting herself, or that she's not strong in policy. And there are those of you who are holding her to some false truths about locking up Black men when she was a prosecutor. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I don't get it. We are going to show some videos from Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama spoke at a rally. I think the rally was in Michigan. And she shared her thoughts on the double standards. She shared her thoughts on how criminal Donald Trump is. And get this, with Donald Trump's record, he can't even work at McDonald's, right? He can't even work at McDonald's, but yet there's a possibility he could become president of the United States again with his record. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, we've got about three or four, maybe five clips from part of a speech that Michelle Obama gave in Michigan. And she was clear. She was very succinct in her thoughts. And it's like, why are we still defending the lies of Donald Trump? Why is this race even close? Why is it even close, right? Why? Why is this race even close? Shouldn't be. There should be a huge gap between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, right? Hey, Barbara. Barbara says he has never worked for a living, so how could he begin to measure up to a McDonald's employee? I totally agree with you. Barbara. He has never worked for a living. I totally agree. All right. I totally agree with you, right? And not only could he not measure up, and he doesn't measure up, but he can't even walk through the door and ask for a job at McDonald's. And I'm not just singling out McDonald's, but this man could possibly become the president of the United States again with all of those charges leveled against him. It's a strong possibility, a very strong possibility. We're going to go to those clips now, and we're back on the other side.
Why on earth is this race even close? I lay awake at night wondering what in the world is going on. And it's clear to me that the question isn't whether Kamala is ready for this moment, because by every measure, she has demonstrated that she's ready. The real question is, as a country, are we ready for this moment? Are we willing to do what it takes to get her across the finish line, or are we going to let ourselves get distracted and fall for the scam? Are we going to lose sight of the dire consequences if we come up short? And right now, folks, I have to be honest, I'm not completely sure of the answers to those questions. Y'all give me great comfort in this arena.
All right, and we're going to play them back to back. You know.
And sadly, this was just the tragic exclamation point on his disastrous presidency. Installing judges and justices who have now stripped away our reproductive freedoms. Cracking down on protesters marching to protect their sons from being shot because of the color of their skin. Rolling back protections for LGBTQ Americans. Banning conspiracy theories, unleashing hatred in our communities. And then, when the American people fired him from a job that was too big for him to begin with, he tried to steal it. Egging on a violent mob that breached our nation's capital. And when told that his own vice president was in danger, you know what he said? So what? So what, y'all? He said, so what? And after all of that, and there is more. There are still folks wringing their hands, crossing their arms, tuning out, saying they plan to sit this election out to prove a point. But this is a big country, and that's why all of my hope about Kamala is also accompanied by some genuine fear. Fear for our country. Fear for our children. Fear for what is coming our way if we forget the stakes in this election. And y'all, that's why I'm here today. And y'all know I hate politics. But I hate to see folks taken advantage of even more. So I wanted to do everything in my power to remind the country that I love, that there's too much we stand to lose if we get this one wrong. I'm deeply concerned, and I'm talking to everybody out there, that too many of us are still confused and buying into the lies and distortions from people who do not have our best interest at heart. So I want to address some of these concerns head on. Because when you lay out the options, this choice isn't even close. Our entire democracy. Let us not forget how badly that worked out for all of us. Let us not forget the incompetence and the corruption, the chaos that was the cornerstone of his entire 4 years in office. Let's start with the pandemic. Remember how woefully unprepared he was? How he was sowing seeds of fear and confusion, endangering lives with his lies and ignorance, denigrating the doctors and scientists trying to help us. You want to talk about plans? Well, my husband left him a very detailed pandemic plan. And you know what he did? He ignored it. He had no clue how to get us out of that crisis. No ability to bring back the millions of jobs we lost so suddenly. No idea how to get our students back into school safely. No attempt to help stem the epidemic of loneliness and isolation that too many of our young people are still dealing with. And his failures had real cost. America lost 7 million more jobs during the COVID downturn than the European Union. Among wealthy nations, the United States had one of the highest COVID death rates. Again, all of this occurred with Trump in charge. And sadly, this was just the tragic exclamation point on his disastrous presidency. Installing judges and justices who have now stripped away our reproductive freedoms. Cracking down on protesters marching to protect their sons from being shot because of the color of their skin. Rolling back protections for LGBTQ Americans, banning conspiracy theories, unleashing hatred in our communities. And then, when the American people fired him from a job that was too big for him to begin with, he tried to steal it, egging on a violent mob that breached our nation's capital. And when told that his own vice president was in danger, you know what he said? So what? So what, y'all? He said, so what? And after all of that, and there is more, there are still folks wringing their hands, crossing their arms, tuning out, saying they plan to sit this election out to prove a point.
Wow. You know, they call Michelle the great closer. They call her the great closer. Those were excellent points. And there's so many things that we could take away from what she said. But one of the largest things for me is the fact that she said he was fired from a job that was too big for him in the very first place. I like that comment from Barbara, and I want to hover there for a minute. Many of us laughed when he insisted that the checks sent out during COVID have his signature. Everything this con artist has done has been calculated to fool those who want so badly for someone to help them. And those people behind him are willing to do whatever it takes to get him in office so they have unrestrained access to the greatest power base in the world. You're spot on there. You're absolutely spot on. You know, honestly, I just don't know what it is going to take to convince folk that Trump is just not right for America. Sister says, bottom line, Trump is not thinking about the American people or even helping the American people. He's trying to help the rich and keep from going to jail. Those are bottom line facts, she says. You know, he certainly does not look out for the average, everyday Joe Blow. Hey, Carol from Chattanooga, glad to have you here. Good to see you in this space. It's been a while. Listen, let me tell you something. We're 1 week away. We're 1 week away. And the fact that this election is anybody's game, it's pretty sad. I mean, there is such a difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And it makes no sense for this election to be this close. It makes no sense. I would love for someone to share with me what Donald Trump has done to gain the support of folk. What has he done? What has he done? What has he done? I don't want to believe that all of these people that are supporting Donald Trump are just as foul and ignorant and racist as he is. I don't want to believe that. Like, I really don't want to believe that's where we are. That's where we are. That's where we are. We're a week out. And I know it gets so old. It gets so old because every single election we say this is the most important election, right? We say this is the most important election. We need to get out and vote as if our lives depend on it. We say that every single time there's an election. We do. I get tired of saying it, and I know you get tired of hearing it. So we say that over and over and over again. But I'm afraid if we don't buckle down and do something between now and Tuesday, we're just a week away. We are literally just a week away from the election. And it seems like we had so much time. And now we have none. Just a few days. The gap should not be this wide, y'all. Or the gap should be wider. It should not be this close. It should not. It should not be this close. Right? It should not. It should not. And we've got some local races that we've got to pay attention to. That Supreme Court justice race here in Mississippi, there is no reason that we should not be supporting Jim Kitchens for the Supreme Court here in Mississippi. There's no reason we shouldn't be supporting him. You know, you can tell it's election time because this lady that's running against him and all the buzzwords she's using, like conservative and constitutional Republican, she's a Donald Trump ally. She's a Donald Trump ally. Right? And I'm going to tell you something. And her name is Jennifer Banning. Let me tell you who she is. She is actually the granddaughter of the man where they found the 3 civil rights workers. Bet you didn't know that, huh? I heard it a couple weeks ago. I heard it a couple of weeks ago. She wants to be on the Supreme Court here in Mississippi. And I know judges are supposed to be nonpartisan, right? I get that. I totally get that. But we don't have to be. Because it's the truth. It is the truth. It was a wow moment when I heard it a couple of weeks ago. It was a wow moment for me too. We've got to get it right on Tuesday. We've got to get it right on Tuesday. There's just no if, and, or buts about it. We've got to get it right on Tuesday so that we can move on to the 2025 municipal races. And that's going to be something. That's going to be something. Honestly, listen, I don't know what else to tell you about next week. I don't know what else to say. I don't know any magic tricks. I don't know what else to do. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. Yes, we are going to plan some for 2025. I think it's a must. I think it's a must. Um, I think that we've got to plan some town halls for 2025. I think it's a must. We've got to get it right in Jackson too. We've got to get it right in Jackson. We've got to get it right. Barber says he entertains people and appeals to their dark side. And we have devalued being a true public servant. At one time, we had people who aspired to creating change and helping others. And then we entered a period where everyone was self focused and we surrendered going the extra distance to do something for others first. Enter Trump and people like him saying, "We will be your protector." You may not even need to vote again. And with his success from the local level in countless communities to every state across this country, we've got to get it right. We need help. We've got to get it right, man. We've got to get it right. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. Whatever the outcome is, we may not know it on Tuesday, right? We won't know it on Tuesday. In my mind, I'm thinking we won't. But whatever the outcome is, it's going to be something. So whether he wins or lose, it's going to be something. It's going to be something. It's going to be something. Now, I keep thinking next week. On Thursday, our goal is to have Justice Jim Kitchens with us, but we're also going to unpack Project 2025 just a little bit. We've not done it in this space together, so we're going to unpack some of Project 2025 so that you know what you're getting yourself into. And so Thursday is going to be, our opportunity to close it. Because the next time we come on will be the night of the election. Polls would have closed by the time we come on air next Tuesday. And so on next Tuesday, I hope to have some people join us that can kind of analyze what they think is happening across the country, right? So I hope to have some people on to analyze that. That's on Tuesday, a week from today. But on Thursday, our closing arguments before the election will be with Justice Jim Kitchens and unpacking Project 2025. Yeah, if he loses, oh my God, I shudder to think what's going to happen when he loses. Because in my mind, he has to. In my mind, Kamala has to win. And that can only mean him losing, right? I got this napkin because every time I drink this shake, it gets on my nose coming through this little hole. So yeah, so Thursday, that's what we're talking about. We're gonna unpack portions of Project 2025, so you'll know how dangerous this man is and the lies he tells about not knowing and not endorsing it. So we're gonna do that, and we'll also have current Mississippi Supreme Court Justice Jim Kitchens on with us. All right, so you don't want to miss it. You want to go ahead and set your alarms for that, right? Well, what I want to do, we're not going to hold you long tonight. We didn't get a chance to advertise this on my personal page enough, and that's my fault. So we'll make sure that we are plugged in and doing that. But I do want to play these clips of Michelle Obama again, because I want you to understand what's at stake. I want you to understand what's at stake, right? I want you to understand what's at stake. We can't afford to gamble this away. We can't afford to misstep, folk. We can't. We cannot afford to get it wrong. We can't afford them. We can't afford them. So if the clips are ready, we're ready to roll.
Why on earth is this race even close? I lay awake at night wondering what in the world is going on. And it's clear to me that the question isn't whether Kamala is ready for this moment, because by every measure, she has demonstrated that she's ready. The real question is, as a country, are we ready for this moment? To get her across the finish line, or are we going to let ourselves get distracted and fall for the scam? Are we going to lose sight of the dire consequences if we come up short? And right now, folks, I have to be honest, I'm not completely sure of the answers to those questions. Y'all give me great comfort in this arena. And sadly, this was just the tragic exclamation point on his disastrous presidency. Installing judges and justices who have now stripped away our reproductive freedoms. Cracking down on protesters marching to protect their sons from being shot because of the color of their skin. Rolling back protections for LGBTQ Americans. Banning conspiracy theories, unleashing hatred in our communities. And then, when the American people fired him from a job that was too big for him to begin with, he tried to steal it. Egging on a violent mob that breached our nation's capital. And when told that his own vice president was in danger, you know what he said? So what? So what, y'all? He said, so what? And after all of that, and there is more. There are still folks wringing their hands, crossing their arms, tuning out, saying they plan to sit this election out to prove a point. But this is a big country, and that's why all of my hope about Kamala is also accompanied by some genuine fear. Fear for our country, fear for our children, fear for what is coming our way if we forget the stakes in this election. And y'all, that's why I'm here today. And y'all know I hate politics. But I hate to see folks taken advantage of even more. So I wanted to do everything in my power to remind the country that I love, that there's too much we stand to lose if we get this one wrong. I'm deeply concerned, and I'm talking to everybody out there, that too many of us are still confused and buying into the lies and distortions from people who do not have our best interest at heart. So I want to address some of these concerns head on. Because when you lay out the options, this choice isn't even close.
And there you have it. Michelle Obama, she's a great closer. They pulled out the big guns this last week of the election. There's more work to do. We've got to close this gap, right? We've got to close this gap. It's tight. Don't let anybody tell you that your vote does not count. It's critical. I just want her to reach that 270. That 270. The Electoral College, I just want her to get that 270. Get that. Get that. That's why those swing states are so important. I want her to get that 270 mark. Hit it. Swing states are very, very, very important. So whatever you think that you could do over this next week, let's do it. If you're in places in states where you can vote early, do it. Have you done it? If you know you're going to be away here, time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out. All right, gang. Listen. Oh, Dr. J, that's cool. Dr. J is offering rides to the polls. Call her. That's great. That's great. We've got to get this done. 1 week away, y'all. 1 week before it all happens, before it all goes down. All right, guys, thank you for indulging with us tonight. We promise not to hold you long, when we recognize, our shortcomings. And so I didn't do a good enough job promoting tonight. We'll do better. We'll get all of the little kinks all worked out. Hopefully we'll have a sponsor on board next week as well. For details on how to sponsor the show, shoot me over an email. OthorCain@gmail.com or OthorCainMedia@gmail.com, either one. Othor Cain, OthorCain @gmail.com. All right. Othor Cain, there it is on your screen. OthorCain@gmail.com. Send us an email, drop us a note. Any and all support will help us continue this and to expand what we are doing. All right. Be sure to join us, and I'll leave you with this. Be sure to join us on Thursday, 8 o'clock. Justice Jim Kitchens will be here, and we will also unpack Project 2025. And then looking ahead for next week on Tuesday, we hope to have some great minds and do a roundtable on the state of our country. That's election night. So we'll have some experts on to help us weave through all of that. All right. Thank you all so much for being with us. From all of us here at the Othor Cain Show. Have a great night.